Hey, I'm Corrado Lark, and welcome to the Corrado Lark podcast, or Knitcast, or YouTube channel, whatever this ends up being. Hi, how's it going? I've tried starting this 3 times, and this dog just wants to play. This is Evie. She is a Shih Tzu. We love Shih Tzus in this family. My parents have 3 dogs, and I'm here visiting them for Christmas. Which is great to say because the first episode of this podcast Knitcast channel is Knitmas. I have been a knitter for a little over a year now. I learned through YouTube and I learned through podcasts, and there's so much I've learned that way. I'm also professionally an actor and a singer. I just completed a tour, a little national tour. It was only a couple months, where I got to go to some amazing places and amazing knitting stores. I mean, that's where a lot of this happened. I am surrounded currently by knitting, and I know I've listened to and watched podcasters talk about how, like, when they podcast and when they do this, they are surrounded by yarn. And it's true, and I love it. It's a happy place to be. So I am an actor and a singer, and I'm not going to sing for you right now, but maybe someday. Hence the Corrado Lark name. So I'm Corrado Lark on Instagram, CorradoLarkKnits on Ravelry, CorradoLarkDesigns for my new designing that I've been doing. And my brain is so scattered doing this. This is so hard. I don't know how y'all people do it. Maybe I'll edit this part out. I don't like editing. Do you like editing? No? Okay. Were you even seen on the camera when I was talking to you? Okay. She doesn't understand how to act on camera. You know what? Without further ado, let's start talking about some knitting. The first piece I'll show you that I made is this beautiful string of pearls shawl. If you are familiar with the pattern, it is a free pattern on Ravelry. I found it within the first few days of me being on Ravelry and immediately went, I'm knitting this. I think I even have the tag for this. I'm not going to have a tag for a lot of these. I thought I saved more. Who knows where it went? I was on tour. I was traveling. Things get thrown away. You want to go down now? You can go down. Oh, look at you covering me in fur. You're not even supposed to have fur. Oh, okay. So I knit this out of the Sugarbush Cabot. Let's see if it focuses for me right in front of my face. Right in front, there we go. Now she's gonna play like crazy. She might get a little loud, this dog. Sorry about it, she's a puppy. Anyway, I knitted out of this, 2 different colors, just 2 different skeins of it. And once I started doing this section with the yellow and peach, and do you see it there? Oh, look at my lighting is great for this. Look at that. Anyway, that part, oh, there we go. It's a little more true there. I started doing that, and I started realizing, partially, I don't think I'm going to have enough to do another full section like the pattern called for. So I just started doing a short row, which I end up loving, because it means I have this long tail here, which, as a male knitter and being new, I didn't really want some big shawl to drape in. I kind of wanted a scarf at first. Now I want a shawl, so I'll be doing that soon. I'm going to show you what yarn I have for that as well. Anyway, I love this thing. It is cotton and linen. 70-30? Yeah, 70% Pima cotton, 30% linen. And it's super light. My only problem with it is this right here. Do you see these pearls? Do you see how they're a little fuzzy? They fade out a little. Maybe if I get it, I'm gonna try and get it closer. Ooh, look at that. That really works. But you can kind of see that it's fadey and fuzzy. Anyway, you don't really notice, especially when you're wearing it. And it works great. You know, you just throw it out and you get a little shift. And there we are. I'm just so pretty. Wow. Okay, next thing. I don't have a plan for this. I'm just gonna start grabbing things that are surrounding me. I knit, I think it's something around 20, 22, 23 things for Christmas. I was on tour with a musical, and we had a lot of downtime on that tour. I ended up in a lot of hotels with just basically nowhere to go, and a lot of time on my hands, and a lot of people I wanted to knit for. So I had a huge knit miss this year, and I'm aware that that's not something that I'm going to be doing on the regular. Uh, but I kind of used it as time for me to learn how to knit. Maybe before I get to that, before I get to showing you some more stuff, I'll talk about that. Again, I just started. Last Christmas, I knit about 12 scarves. It was my first time knitting ever. A really great girl, Julie, who I was working on the North Pole Express with in Essex, Connecticut, which is one of my favorite jobs of all time. I've done it 5 seasons in my life. And she was just knitting, and I was like, yeah, I'll learn to do that. I got time. Let's do it. I sat down and started doing it, and I had these, like, we went to Walmart. It was like a late night. I got some, nice looking yarn. It's pretty, pretty. It's not pretty. It's like, it's masculine. It's like, yeah, bro, it's great. I don't have that scarf here. Anyway, I made this scarf, but I started off with these thin metal needles that I was bending because I was so tight. Just thought that that's what you wanted. You wanted really tight knitting. And after doing that for about a ball of it, I had 2 other balls to go, and I was like, I don't think I can do that. So I went to a real knitting store in Old Saybrook, Connecticut, and I picked up some nice wooden Knit Picks needles that I think I have right here. I'm not gonna try. Who's the person? I don't know. Who always like goes on? Anyway, I got these. No, I didn't. I got smaller ones, but these are what, Knit Picks, I think. They're beautiful. I love them. They're just 15s, and I don't tend to knit on 15s that often, especially straights. But I picked up these and started knitting, and it became much easier. And I realized I love this, so I'm gonna just keep going. And I made about 12 scarves. I didn't know how to read a pattern. I still kind of just read patterns. I never really learned charts and everything, but I picked it up pretty quickly, and I just started designing things without realizing I was even designing. I learned how to knit, I learned how to purl, I learned how to cast on, I learned how to bind off, and I made 12 different scarves out of it. Anyway, I finished that. People loved them. I know I still see people wear those. Some people. Anyway, and I went back to New York because I came home from Connecticut for the job. I went back to New York. I was there for about 6 months, just working. I did a few shows, and I did some background work because I do that by day. Background for TV and film. So you may just see my face or sometimes they love using me as Muslim. I am Sicilian American, but I am often in a mosque. Anyway, sidetracked. 6 months of basically not knitting. And then I was sitting on set, and, it was like a 15-hour day one day, and I had like 13 hours I just sat there. And I was like, what can I do, to pass this time? What? And I was like, oh yeah, I really liked to knit last Christmas. Maybe I'll pick that up again. And when I picked it up again, I went crazy. I started, doing more and going to the knitting stores in New York City. And I discovered what Ravelry is, and I'm still discovering what Ravelry is. I'll talk about that towards the end because making a designer page on Ravelry has been a struggle. Anyway, I'm excited to start doing it. But I just kind of went crazy. And then when I went on tour, I had all this time, and I was like, I can't wait to go to these yarn stores all over the country. And I found some amazing stuff, and I created some amazing stuff. So yeah, I kind of just learned by doing. I've never really had a knitting class. I would love to. I've had one knitting lesson. I think her name is either Karen or Kathy. There's a lot of Karen or Kathys in this field, and I love you all. But Karen or Kathy of the Knot House in, where is it? In Frederick, Maryland. The Knot House in Frederick, Maryland. Incredible shop. She actually was like my first lesson where she showed me how to cable. Because I was struggling with that. I'm also struggling with picking up, but that's another day. She taught me how to cable, and so now I made something with cables, and I will get to that. So, without further ado, here's some of my knitting of the season. Let's start with the, like, you know, the stuff that you can kind of get at Michael's or Walmart. Well, not Michael's. I knit this hat. This is one of my first hats. It's out of a Karen cake. I kind of just knew how to do ribbing. I, you know, was very new to decreases. You can clearly see. Very new. But I love this little, I think you can kind of see it. I made a daisy. So I just learned to do the daisy stitch from Studio Knit. I love Studio Knit. She's really incredible at teaching on YouTube. Anyway, so I just kind of threw that in. It's a little big. But I think Crystal, who I knit this for, is going to love it. She's going to love anything I do. I've actually designed a lot for her. She's been a really big inspiration for me. It's my brother's girlfriend. Anyway, knit this for her. And to sort of match, I knit this for my brother. I didn't realize till I was done that it's kind of in like Dolphins colors, which is a sports team. Hockey, basketball, not football. If it's football, that's going to be really bad. Anyway, my brother, I knit him this. It's a little smaller. Like, he will definitely be able to wear it. And I actually really love these colors. I didn't realize till afterwards that I was like, oh, Dolphins. But it's very cute. Karen cakes. They were a really good start for me, especially with hats, because it's, you know, it's like worsted weight. They're quick, especially now they'd be really quick. But, you know, I can mess up a little bit and not feel guilty. I know one of my favorites is Christy Glass. She definitely talked about that on her channel, where she's like, I wanted to get to a place where I felt comfortable enough that if I spend good money on yarn, I'm not going to screw it up, basically. It's really not what she said. It's really taking her words out of context and all. But anyway, I kind of did the opposite, where it's like I did a little bit of that kind of knitting, and I'm sure there's more here. Oh, this is good, this one. I did a little bit of that, but I kind of just went to the good stuff. And you know what I learned from that was, when you go to the good stuff, and you know, maybe you'll make a mistake or two, but your end product is that much prettier regardless. You know, as long as you're not falling apart at the seams with your piece, I think you can knit with nice yarn and just enjoy that. Next up is I made this out of Buttercream Luxcraft. I think this was a Joanne Fabrics purchase. The Rainbow Bouncle? Yeah, you know, podcasters are always like, oh, it's backwards. I don't know. I mean, they aren't always. I think it was really just when I watched the Grocery Girls, like, first episode, they're like, it's backwards. Like, I don't know if you get it. I don't know. This is going online? What's the internet? Anyway, it's made out of that, and it is this big old thing. Big old thing. Yeah, it's so, I love this thing. I'm going to take this off. That's not really how I sing. And my plan with this was you fold it in half, like that, and you kind of, oh, no, totally wrong. Not my plan. Not what I planned. You do one of these, like, noose type things with it. Now, I've also, from the beginning, known I'm a little bit of a loose knitter. So, I knew that this would end up growing, so it's not always going to be just like right here. But I ended up loving this product. This yarn was so hard for me to knit with. I don't even remember. I think it calls for 6s. It calls for 8s. So I definitely did this on 8s, and I was like, back in this place again? Like, I'm gonna get out my aggression on my knitting. Anyway, it was really difficult for me, and I just knit across. Like, this is just knitting across. But the colors are beautiful, and the end product, I think, is beautiful. I plan on sending this out to Nebraska, to a friend of mine, Andy, who I made. She owns the Bean Broker out in Crawford, Nebraska. which is an incredible coffee shop. They have live music where I would sing at. They have a bar at night. It's a really incredible restaurant, just destination if you're out in that sort of area. Even if you're not and you're like a couple hours away, I would definitely hit it up. Or if you're traveling through, which I don't know how many people travel through Crawford, Nebraska, but if you are or you're nearby, can't speak highly enough of that place in Andy. I mean, just to go on another little tangent about her, she, when I was there, I was cooking a lot because I also love to cook. I currently have some baked goods going actually right now, which I can talk about. But she would give me like cucumbers and things from her garden to make for people and to cook. And she's really a wonderful woman. You can see something here. There we are. This, I didn't plan for you to see yet, but since it's here, I did the hat actually pretty soon after those hats, because I made it for my dad. But this is out of Barocco Ultra Alpaca. I got this at, is it Annie & Company up in Manhattan, Upper East Side, off the 96th Street stop on the Q. I kind of like the top. I didn't plan for that to be like that, but I think it's pretty pretty. I mean, like, you can see I screwed up and went into, like, what is this? What did they call it? Sorry, I'm still new. The seed stitch. It went into seed stitch there, which, you know, for better or for worse, happened. And my dad's gonna love it because it's really big and he can, like, fold it up. That's what he wanted. He's talked to me multiple times about needing that, so he's gonna love it. And then I also, recently, I was like, I've been putting this off, but I'm like, I don't know what to do for my dad to do a scarf that matches. I wanted a set. And this I initially made from some pattern. I think it was like a Bernat pattern that was old and like in black and white that I found. Then I found like the pattern, but I didn't follow it. I had other stripes and everything, so who knows what, it's just made up. And I was struggling at figuring out what to do to make a hat for him. So I decided eventually that I was like, you know what? I'm gonna knit a scarf for him lengthwise, and I wanna take the blue color and put it in the gray color because I had done stripes. It just wasn't feeling. I just didn't want to do stripes again. I had done, you know, all sorts of stuff at this point because this was recent. That I was like, you know what, I'm going to design something for him because that's where I've been at. And I made this scarf. I don't have a name for it. The pattern is sketched out, and I plan on releasing that in the near future. So, long story short, I knit this lengthwise, and then you get to, this part. Now, I said I wanted something that was inside the color inside. So I was just like, oh, I'll figure it out. I'm like knitting across. I think it's, you know, a certain amount here. And I knit up to here. And I was like, you know, I'm just going to connect my yarn here and just keep going. You know, make sure I carry it underneath like I had learned somewhere online and just keep knitting. And I did. And I just kept going like that. And it worked out. So I'm going to put it on and I'm going to say what happened then. I was finishing it up. I was in New York City recently, and I was just finishing this thing up, and I was like, oh, it's too tight. It's a double wrap, so, you know, I'm not really used to it, but it's cute. Anyway, I'm in New York City. I just about finished it, and I was like, you know, I heard of this knitting store, Knitty City. It's right near where I was working, so I was like, let's go. Me and my knitting bag, which is huge. And I go, and it's, you know, it's a tight store. It's not small. It's just the right size. But with my knitting bag, I feel like I'm always bumping into people, and being a male knitter who's new and people don't know, it's like, who is this guy here hitting me with a bag? Anyway, they were incredible in this store. I've already been 3 times since then. No, I've been 3 times total. I'm not gonna lie to you here on my podcast, Knitcast channel. And I showed this to Nancy there, and she was like, oh, that's Intarsia. And I was like, oh, I've heard the name Intarsia. I didn't know what it was, but I designed something with it. So, yeah, it came out like this, and I think my dad's gonna love it. I don't know if he's gonna be able to figure out how to wear it. I'm gonna have to like teach him, and he's like a big old Italian guy, so it'll be interesting. Anyway, yeah, so that's what I designed for him. I'm just gonna, it's my knitting and I take care of it. Anyway, let's just go to the next thing. Oh, I knit this also out of Barocco Ultra Alpaca. This right here, it's a little dark in this room, but I think it'll be all right. This is the Pearl Soho ear flap hat. I think that's what they call it. Again, I knitted out of Barocco Ultra Alpaca. I knit this for my nonni. You can see the seam here. I don't know if that was intentional, if that's part of the pattern, if it was just me. You know, this is just where the join was. And I think it's the cutest little hat. Like, my nonni, who I knit this for, was an old Italian Sicilian woman, and this thing, I need a picture. And I will be taking pictures of everyone who I give this stuff to, and I will post them to my Instagram, because my Instagram is now my new Knitstagram, because that's what I'm doing with my life. Anyway, so I love this cute hat, Barocco Ultra Alpaca, again, Pearl Soho. I just made it blue at the bottom, put 2 stripes, and turned it into gray. You know, my nonni loves gray, dark colors. She wears mostly black because I don't know how true this is in other people's families, but in Sicilian culture, as far as I understand, once your husband dies, you just wear black. I don't know if it's like written somewhere. I don't know if it's like, I don't know where that comes from, but it comes from somewhere, and she's gonna love this, even though there's navy. Don't tell my dead nonno. Rest in peace, love him to death. My God. Anyway, let's go to some things that were maybe not as successful. I still have it woven in these ends, which is very rare for me because I actually enjoy weaving in my ends. I don't know how many podcasters are into that. I don't think I've heard many. Anyway, I knit this out of Comfort DK, also Barocco. I loved Barocco when I first started going to stores. Again, this is where, these are little butterflies I learned on Studio Knit. And I was like, how do I make a scarf that has butterflies? And I started to. It's interesting when you do just like knitting across here. I don't know how well you can see this, the detail. But it does these waves, which you either love or hate. I love them. My only problem with this is the Comfort DK. I mean, the person I knit this for, Sherry, I don't think, at the time I didn't think she would wear wool. Like, I was under the impression that she wouldn't. So I was like, I need something, and I just ordered this online from Webs, you know, yarn.com. I can't speak highly enough of that website. Also in person, because I'm in Colchester, Connecticut right now, and whenever I'm home visiting my parents, I like to go there these days, because it's not that far, it's about an hour. Anyway, I got this online at Webs, butterflies. I think it's kind of cute. It's just the color is a little like, I think she's still gonna love it. So that's the wrong side. Ooh, isn't that pretty? Anyway, that's that one. And so my mom didn't think that was nice enough for Sherry, and I don't think that's nice enough for Sherry either, because she is like a second mother to me. So I knit her this hat. Oh, look at this end that's coming out. What's going on there? Anyway, I thought I wove in everything. I knit her this hat instead. Or as well. This is Menos del Uruguay. Menos del Uruguay. I'm an actor. I should have good diction. They're Allegra Grande, I think it is. I don't exactly remember the colorway, but I found this in Knitty City, and I fell in love with this color. It's green. It's got that. I love purple, maroon. I'm obsessed with that color. So anything with that, I will work with. I love the spots of yellow, too. Just like very, I don't know. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I bought a pom-pom maker recently, so I started making pom-poms. And at first I was like, I wound up all this yarn. Well, my first pom-pom was a mess. Yarn everywhere. I should have looked up a YouTube video. I do that for everything else. And this one I was like, nah, I can do it. And I was wrap here and cut. What happened? There's yarn everywhere. Yarn explosion. Anyway, this was, this one's a few into my pom-pom making now. But when I cut this yarn, I was like, what is going on? It's all white and fuzzy. Like, can you see the difference? Like, this is the yarn on the outside. This is the yarn on the inside. And then I put it on and I was like, it couldn't be more perfect. I love that aspect of it. So this is I think it's the Copycat CC beanie on Ravelry. I'll look it up, I'll put it down here, or I'll put it in some show notes, which I hope to plan to do and figure out how to do. I think it's just writing. I've honestly never read a show note in my life. I just watch podcasts like it's my job. Anyway, I did that beanie. Except I did seed stitch instead of just stockinette. So that's what goes on here, here, and here. And I like it. It doesn't give that like curl like a lot of these beanies that, are very popular these days are doing. But I think the texture with the yarn is beautiful. I'm a big fan of texture, as I've learned. Texture and high contrast, I think you'll find, are my two go-tos with things. And color and yarn and everything. Okay, anyway, let's move on. We'll start with going with some of this. When I was at Eddie & Company before I left for tour, I picked up some Malabrigo. I love Malabrigo. I think this one is in this has burgundy in it. Burgundy Malabrigo. Because that's not generic. And then this other gray colorway, which I don't have the thing for that I thought I did. Anyway, I started knitting this hat. This is for my friend Eddie initially. I also, when I started doing this one, I was like, I want to learn how to do Fair Isle. Because that's what you do when you don't know how to knit proficiently and you're like, let's just start doing Fair Isle. And so here are my floats. Look at that. They're so floaty. Ooh, it's floating away. It's so floaty. This is the most ridiculous podcast ever. Anyway, so this is what the hat looks like when you put it on. It's too small. Much too small for an adult male head. Because at this part where I did these floats were not loose enough for this kind of hat. So I am going to give it to my my nephew, my cousin. He's my third cousin. It's my second cousin's son. This is going to him, Christian. And I think he's going to love it. It might be a little big on him, but, he'll grow into it at some point in the near future. I think he's like somewhere between the ages of 11 and 13 at this point. I'm a 28-year-old single male. I don't know people's ages like that. Anyway, this is the top of my hats. I'm obsessed with top of hats. I love decreasing. I love closing them off and seeing what works and what doesn't. Again, like, I would love to take some classes and stuff, but I don't really know, so it's all, what do I figure out? And, this one came out pretty good. Anyway, let's see, do I have anything else in that yarn? I know I do. I don't have anything here. Oh, well, I do somewhat, but I already gave one of those, so like, I made this for Eddie, I made another one, I gave it to him. I'm going to insert a picture here, or at the end, whichever I found easier. And so you can see it. Hi, Evie, don't eat my yarn. Don't do it. I know you want to. Go. Anyway, so let's just keep moving on. Oh, gosh. Okay. Let's get to some of my Mrs. Crosby Loves to Play. I went to Friends with Fiberworks down in North Carolina. I was staying in Asheville, like the outskirts of Asheville, and I was like, oh, I don't have anything to do. Is there a yarn store nearby? I'll like see if I can Uber there. And I saw that there was one about 2 miles away, and I was like, I don't want to pay for an Uber, so I'm gonna walk. I walked across practically a highway to get to this yarn store, and thank goodness I did, because it's a beautiful, huge yarn store. I went in, I spent like maybe an hour, 2 hours shopping, and I ended up picking stuff out, and and one woman, Virginia, who's so lovely. If you watch podcasts and you end up seeing this, hi Virginia. She was so lovely. She offered to give me a ride home, and I was like, no, it's all right. I'm just gonna go. And I started walking, and I realized I didn't have my tags to know what I was knitting with. I just like forgot them, so I went back in and I grabbed the tags, and I was like, you know what, Virginia, I'll let you take me home. And so I waited on, maybe it was like another hour, and actually helped putting stickers on the labels of the yarn, which I found really fun. So if that's what you do at a knitting store as a job, sign me up. Sign me up. Anyway, so I ended up picking up Mrs. Crosby Loves to Play. I got some in, I think it's Wild Huckleberry and African Gray. This is African Gray. I love this color. Here, I'm going to fold this right here. This hat I knit for Crystal, again, my brother's girlfriend. And I have actually designed this hat. This is not the final product. This was my first draft of it. Again, very big. Very big. I think something about it, when I first do a hat, or I first start to do a hat, it's big and slouchy. And I mean, the slouch is kind of cute, and maybe if you don't fold it. Oh. I've been folding it, like, my brim like this on this hat, because that's how I, like, intended the design. But maybe I don't need to redesign this as much as I thought I might. I've been working on it lately, and this will probably be my next released pattern. But there it is. It's going to be called the Crystal Snow Globe hat. It was going to be the crystal ball hat, and I was like, it's not a crystal ball, it's like a snow globe. So, the Crystal Snow Globe hat! Yeah, it's cute. She's going to love it. And this yarn is so soft. Like, it knits up. It's a single. It knits up. It's so fine, and you could just, it's one of those ones that you can kind of just, like, pull apart because it's a single, and then, you knit it on, like, a 2, technically. I think I knit this on, like, a 4 or 5, which is probably why it's so big. I just thought at the time that when you do anything like this, lacy, you had to go up in needle size. I don't think that's true in actuality, because I've done this exact yarn now with lace, and I haven't done it with bigger needles, and it came out much prettier. Anyway, this is the first initial version. That's really offensive. I've already talked about Muslims too. Anyway, so then I now have knit a lot with the Wild Huckleberry. I think it's called Wild Huckleberry. The first one I knit out of it is one of my favorites that I knit this season. It is this lace cowl. I've never knit a lace cowl before. I've never really knit a cowl before, let alone a lace one. But here it is. You can see, I don't even know what kind of lace that really is. I'm sure someone can tell me if anyone ever watches this. And it's pretty even. I knit this really, it was 3 or 4 days maybe. And I knit it on 3s. I think I knit this on 3s. And on the pattern, the only thing I changed was I added a garter border instead of a stockinette one, because I didn't want a lot of curling. And with how I knit, I tend to get a lot of curling when I do that. Anyway, there's a couple mistakes. There was like 2 rows in here that I was off by a little bit, but I fixed it as much as I could. And there's like one weird funky area. But anyway, I'm going to put it on now instead of just like staring at it as beautiful and soft and beautiful smelling as it is, because I washed it in Eucalyptus, the jasmine scent, which I adore. Anyway, this is how it sits. It's super cute, I think. Like, if it weren't so beautifully feminine, I probably would wear it myself. But, I mean, look at that. Like, come on. Anyway, it's like the perfect little thing. I plan on designing something very similar for someone very special that I'm not going to announce right here what that'll be for, but it's going to be something really legit. Anyway, before I get to the next thing, I'm going to pause this life, and I'm going to blow my nose. Okay, great. And we're back! I also sprayed my hair with hairspray! What, Evie? What is it? It's alright. You're just so adorable. Oh, we got it. I also picked up a nice drink. a nice blackberry citron. Blackberry, not huckleberry, but blackberry citron. Oh my god, you're so fluffy! Anyway, so let's get back to that. When I bought those two yarns, the Mrs. Crosby loves to play, I intended for them to be knit together because you can clearly see, at least in person, that the African Grey just has that little bit of the huckleberry. So, I just finished this 2 or 3 days ago, so I'm totally out of order, but what's it matter? This is an adaptation of the Martine hat that I found on Ravelry. Free pattern, I think it's a Menace del Uruguay pattern actually. And I had already knit one before, but I knit it to size, like, you know, to what the pattern was written, and it called for 120 stitches to cast on, which increased to 150. And I think after I knit that all, I realized it, I realized that it was calling for, what's the word? My God. Podcasting's so hard. Why is it so difficult? I was trying to use that time to remember the word, but I can't remember the word. Anyway, extra fine yarn. It called for a finer weight. Anyway, I knit it minus 20 stitches in the cast on, and then I started in the African Grey, and this is a St. John's wort right here. Can you see that? Those are St. John's worts. Who knew that worts could be so beautiful? Anyway, and then I think it was on the second of the repeat, I did a few of these little African Greys in here, which made little flowers. But once I cut out those 20, it fits like a beanie, like a glove. This is for Carmen. Did I say this is for Enza? This is for Enza, who's like basically my great aunt, great second cousin. I have a lot of second cousins in this family. Anyway, this is for Carmen, who's just sort of a family friend who comes to our Christmas Eve now. I love her, she loves me, so she's getting this really cute hat. I think it'll stretch out a little bit with time, if, you know, if everything goes as every other knitting piece that I've ever knit with goes. And so it'll fit probably a little better for her once that happens, but it's just too beautiful. I plan on knitting this for myself in masculine colors. I love blue, I love brown, I love purple, but, you know, not the heathery purple. Evie, stop licking the couch, girl. There's nothing there for you to lick. Next up is this right here. It's a little headband. I found the pattern on Ravelry. It sent me to a website and said, hey, knit this. And I knit this on the train ride to Connecticut for Thanksgiving. I plan on giving it to my mom. The reason, I'll explain the reason in a little bit, why I did this. But it's got 2 different colors of Madeline Tosh. I love Madeline Tosh. I mean, it's found pottery medieval. Anyway, it's a little headband. Dang, it's cute. It's not cute for me, but it's cute for her. She loves it. I've already shown her this. This one isn't a secret. I think I just showed it to you inside out. Here you are. Isn't it cuter? Anyway, so the reason I knit that is because I learned to knit shawls this holiday season. That's been my big things. I knit 4 shawls, 4 or 5. You know, again, I showed you the one that I kind of made into a scarf, but I knit some shawls. The first one I decided to do is the girl from the grocery store. I love the grocery girls. It's true. They're like moms to me, but like they're also like sisters. Is that right? Probably not. Anyway, I knew about this shawl and I decided I would knit it. At the time though, I didn't realize, oh, what are weights of yarn? Fingering, DK. What's the difference? They're the same. So I knit it in DK. I love DK. DK is probably my favorite weight of yarn But here we are. Medieval found pottery. Girl from the grocery store. Madeline Tosh, DK. This was my first lace. It came out pretty good. It's a feather and fan. I know that from the Craftsy video where they talk about the girl from the grocery store. And they taught me how to block in that video. I didn't use blocking wires though, I used pins because I didn't buy blocking wires. But, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I have worn this. It smells great. I've worn this so much. it's so just. This color is just my color. I mean, hi. It's, you know, a little feminine, but when I was out in the middle of nowhere, Florida, if there is a middle of nowhere, Florida, or middle of nowhere, Wisconsin, Minnesota recently, when I knit this, I needed something nice and warm, and I knit it, so I was gonna use it. And maybe those people out there looked at me a little strange for it, but who cares? Beautiful. I couldn't say enough about that pattern. Hoagie Locatelli is one of my favorites of all time. I absolutely adore her. I've now knit a bunch of her patterns, and I plan on knitting more. You know, speaking of plans, I plan on knitting a sweater for the first time next year, and I plan on knitting socks. Those are my two that I'm really going to tackle. That comes up because Hoagie just released All the Love, which I haven't bought yet, but I will because I will be knitting that for my mom. I already showed it to her. She loves it. Yeah. My mom definitely got the best out of the deals here, but I'm going to save that for the end. She probably always will, just because she's pretty easy to knit for. We love the same color, and she's really great at color. Me and her love color, and we're really good with color, I think. I mean, you'll be the judge of that, but we are. So, yeah, I want to start a business with her. With the name Lark in it. I'm just going to leave it out, the rest of it, and the concept and all that. Anyway, I hope we do it. We will, because I'm going to make her. Anyway, let's go to this. This was actually my first shawl. It was a crescent shawl. I think it's a red heart pattern. There was a red heart video that I watched on it. And here it is. This is out of, I have this one. Manasta Uruguay Maxima. You notice I bite my nails. This is the Fruits of the Forest. Oh, I showed you the price. That's how much I spent on a skein. Hey, I don't even remember where it was. Anyway, doesn't matter. I fell in love with this company when I saw it. It was one of my first like nice yarn purchases. Just because of, you know, they're proud members of the World Trade Fair Trade Organization, and I knew some of the people that I knit for would really appreciate that. So I definitely. You know, again, Sherry, I knew she would love it. This is actually for Sherry's mom. I initially knit this for my mom, but I will show you why. It's not going to her. I think it's still beautiful. It's nice and soft. It's definitely going to last. Like, I weaved in my ends pretty good. But it's a little short. A little short for a shawl. I was thinking I might add tassels. I have enough of this yarn, like just enough that I think I could get 2 tassels out of. I've only really done that 1 tassel before on the Pearl Soho hat that I knit for my nanny. But I think I would add it to here. It'd be like, right just there. Right just there. Right just there. One thing that you'll find with my knitting is I get a little bored when it's just garter stitch, and it's flat garter stitch. So it was the right side. I don't know if you can even see it, but I just started purling. Well, not purling. I started making stockinette in there. I did 2 diamonds, and I did 1 big like triangle. You really can't tell other than that in this section, like the yarn just blurs, which is beautiful. I mean, this would be beautiful to knit with again. Actually, and I had initially bought 3 skeins of it, but I returned 1 before I was finished, being like, I'm not gonna need that. I could use that for that pattern at least. You know what? Why don't we just show a dishcloth? I knit this. Isn't that great? I think it was Barocco, just cotton. I already gave one, or I have one of these in my apartment in New York City, in Astoria, where I live, and we love it at the house. So I knit this one. I have one that I might have just pulled it, but I think it just fell off the needle. Um, I just swipe something up from my phone. It just pulled off the needle, so I have one that's like this much left to do, and it's just loose stitches that I found. Hopefully I'll be able to pick those up. Picking up stitches. Hey! No! No! Anyway, she was trying to bite my girl from the grocery store. The heck? I love this. This is fun. Anyway, let's move on from that. Let's start getting to some more of my designs. So, I'm going to start with this one. Where is this yarn? Oh my god. I recently went, again, I said I went to the web store, and I picked up some Coleraine Valley yarns, which I think is actually the web brand. Isn't it? Web's brand? Yarn brand? They got a lot of names. Anyway, I picked up 5 balls of that with my mom, with the intent to knit for my second cousin, Sal, and his partner, Michael. Oh, my mom's home, so here goes the party. But here's a hat. I'm going to have to pause this, and we're going to finish this tomorrow. But this was the first of one of my designs. So, it's the first draft. I love it. It's really cute. It fits really great. So I just kept it because it's not good enough to give to someone but myself. Anyway, we'll pick this back up tomorrow. Maybe I'll wear the same shirt. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll wear no shirt. No, I'm going to wear a shirt. Bye. On to location 2. Actually, my mom just came home and we are baking for the holidays. So I had already pre-made a cinnamon, honey, orange pound cake and an orange cranberry pound cake for her to come home to. And she didn't tell me how many she needed, and I only made 1 batch of each, and she definitely needed like 2 of each. So she's up there finishing, and I was like, I need to get this done because I want to get this out there for Christmas for y'all. And so I was like, I'm going to go downstairs and finish my podcast. So here we are, and this is where I was. This cute hat. It was my first initial version of this design. This one came out much. This one, you can clearly tell what I did. I showed that project earlier where I learned to do Fair Isle just by doing it. And I was like, I want a project that if I were new to Fair Isle, I wouldn't feel like it was like some big risk to do a Fair Isle project. I just want a tiny bit of it. So, as you can see in this, there are 3 rows of Fair Isle. I will be releasing this pattern very soon as well. It's a cute little top. And this is knit out of that, this is Valley Yarns, that one that I showed. And again, I did a his and his for Sal and Michael. This one came out a little smaller than this one, and that's kind of a theme with me doing 2 projects of the same size, or the same thing that I've learned. We'll get to that in a second. I think it still fits perfectly fine, like on the head. Like, cool. It's a little beanie, and again, I know from this one was not this size when I knit it, that this stuff stretches. It's got tencel in it. Tencel. Y'all probably know what that is. I don't know. But here, there's those 2. Look at that on camera. You can really tell that they're different. Oh well. I'm also knitting another. It's in the works. That's either going to go to my brother, or I might just, if it comes out this size, I'll probably give it to them, Sal and Michael, and give this one to my brother. When they see this and they see that, like, I didn't personally pick these out for just them, I hope they don't get offended. I mean, you wouldn't, right? Like, that's kind of what happened when I knit this much for Christmas, is like, I would knit some things, and they would go to different people than I had intended, which I really love about it. Actually, it's kind of fun. So, next up, this is already pilling. I only have a few more finished objects here. Just a few. Oh, wait. I forgot one. It's over there. I'm gonna squeeze away from camera. and I will go get that now. Yes, I am singing on my podcast. Now this is the big project of the season for me. It wasn't the longest project that I spent. I probably spent the longest on Pure Joy, Hohio Locatelli as well. But I've already given that one away, so I'm going to insert a picture. It's beautiful. It is blue and just hot pink. Love it. Tammy loves it too, who I made it for. This I knit for my mother. Is that the right side? It's the right side. You are seeing this correctly. Look how thin that is. This is the Tracy shawl. Also, Ms. Hohi Locatelli. I knit it in Yarn Garden, or Zen Yarn Garden. This is a one-of-a-kind Beetlejuice. It is, and when I found it, you know, maybe if I scrunch it up, you can kind of see it better. You see how it has that little bit of like blue? That's when I found this skein of Shalimar yarns. This is at Sister Art Studio in Chicago where I found this yarn, and they were so nice and so helpful, or she was, helping me pick this out. I mean, I kind of just picked it out, but like, she definitely helped. Anyway, I'm gonna throw this on. I have definitely been known for wearing this around the house as well. I mean, I just finished reblocking this so it would smell pretty again, like very pretty, but my god, it is luxury. It's the cashmere base for Zen Yarn Garden. I actually just ordered some more Zen Yarn Garden, so you might see that on episode 2, when there is an episode 2, because I'm gonna keep doing this. It's a new thing. Anyway, I feel like Rachel Maddow right now. Is that weird? I was like, 2? New thing? Yeah, anyway, I love her. I'm not gonna talk about it. The next thing I want to show, as I was just saying, ooh, it's pilling a little bit. I also bought this when I was at the Knot House. I've been looking for it for a while when I was on the road. I could not find it as easily as I wanted to. I absolutely love Chelsea, you know, of Legacy Knits. They have my heart. They also are from nearby. So like my closest yarn store would also be their closest, or you know, Sue's closest yarn store. I've yet to see her, but when I do, I will fangirl and not show her that I'm fangirling. Anyway, I fell in love with these right away. I think any man does. I mean, how stunning. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna knit it. I've never done a gusset, never done a cable, I've never done a finger, I've never knit something completely in magic loop. I've never knit a mitten, but I knit a mitten. Not only did I knit one, I knit 2. They took me 2 days. Not even the full 2 days, maybe 5 hours of each day. While I was temping, I would do it at the job. It's good. I'm gonna admit that online. Anyway, this yarn's pilling a little bit, but it is beautiful. It is blue sky fibers. I'm gonna do this. Blue sky fibers, wool stock. Ooh, look at that shadow. I can't get any closer. Look at that beautiful line I created. I'm really artistic. I also haven't mentioned, I just kind of noticed that this is all just my brother back in high school when he was a big sports kid. He's still a sports guy, but he doesn't play professionally or anything. He kind of was just like very talented and you know, back in the day doing it. Anyway, so I decided to knit this. I mean, they're beautiful. Like, they make my life. I'm always a mittens guy. Like, I always have those fingerless homeless mittens with a flap. But I was like, you know, I'm going to do these. But the point I'm going to make, I knit this one first. You can clearly tell in my gusset I had never done it before. You know, there's so much I hadn't done in these, but I just picked it up and I read a chart for the first time. Never read a chart. I just, you know, I took, you know, what is it? Not pre-calc. I took calculus. I took AP Calc in high school. I've always been very good at math. And so I was able to read the chart, no problem. Except it was a little, there's some stuff missing, but it's all right. I figured it out. I went to the second one, I was like, and it's beautiful, right? Like, this gusset's great, everything's great about it, except they are 2 different sizes. Same needles, 2 days, different sizes. Don't know how that happened exactly. I've debated re-knitting the left one, which was my first one. But you know what? I wear undercoats and everything. It's really not that noticeable when, like, this is covered. Like, this part, exactly the same. See, like, what if I do that? See? Wow. They look great. You'll also notice that my right, the one that looks better, I didn't cable right. I still cabled left. I didn't know how to cable right. I didn't realize that the pattern that I was supposed to cable right. I just was like, oh, I know how to cable. Put it in the front. Anyway, I love these. I'm obsessed with these. They come with me every day of my life right now. I do need to buy a gleaner, which I needed to buy anyway because I knew some of this stuff would pill, and I wanted to tell people when I gift them these things that they can always come to me and I will clean them. My hair, I need a haircut, boy. Anyway, so we get to this project. I think this is my last, this is my last Christmas gift that I knew. That's all I know. And it's this hat. It is also a Pearl Soho free pattern. It's the classic cuffed hat. I intended for it to have a cuff, but I got bored with just regular 1x1 rib. And I'll show you what my solution to that was in my life in a second. But I knit this initially for my Uncle Paul, but I ended up loving it as a slouchy beanie. And I have someone who needs a slouchy beanie, Brian. So I knit this for Brian. And he's probably going to love it. He loves orange, but he's colorblind. So what's it really matter? Just kidding. It does matter. I don't want him to look ridiculous. I think he's going to love it. It's very masculine. I love this colorway. This is also Malabrigo. This is that, that red that I've been using in projects. And this is Vulcan. I love Vulcan. This is Rios as well. I know that for a fact. I love this colorway. My mom picked this out when we were at the web store. I love all the shadows down here in this old basement. Hope you do too. Hey. I don't know what that hay was about. Just weird. So basically, I have almost a completed second one that I knit. This time, my solution to not liking 1x1 rib is I like twisted rib. Everyone says the opposite. Anyone I've ever really listened to on a podcast has said the opposite. I love twisted rib. I love the look of it. I love how it knits. Look at this hat upside down. Isn't it cute? I've already taken the liberty of sewing. I flipped the brim underneath and sewed it in, right, like that, so that it will just naturally have this thick cuff. I love this because this is a single and this is twisted, and the single is really nice for a cuff. Like, it's super soft, it's fluffy, if it pills, it fluffs out, it doesn't matter. It's on the brim of it. This is the part that matters, and this is going to be a beautiful hat. This is for my Uncle Paul. My Uncle Paul is also from Sicily, and he professionally was a tailor. So I needed to make sure that this was right. And let's just say it's going to be right. I love the top of this hat. I've been doing that almost everywhere now. But as you can see, look at that. It's just like this beautiful X that you make. It's just with the SSK and then I knit 2 together, just kind of with 1 in the middle, and it's a beautiful, beautiful closure. So now I am going to go to my short section of what I have upcoming for knitting wise. Really good at the English. What's upcoming, what my next projects are. I have one next project that I don't know exactly what's going to happen here. But when I was at the web store with my mom, our Thanksgiving break, I went with the intent knowing that I was going to buy some of this Wildwood Yarns dyed by Madeline Tosh. I have been looking at Whiskey Barrel for a long time. The colors are not reading correctly. It's not green. It kind of looks green on there. It is definitely a blue. There's some blue in there. You probably know this colorway. It's pretty popular. I also went with Field Frost, which that's reading pretty correctly. It's not as blue as that, as I'm seeing. God, this part, just like, if I do that, it'll be good. I'll get a haircut for the next podcast. And then this beautiful Viper. This reads just as black to you. It's not just black. It also has blue. So, as you can probably guess, I will be fading. I've never faded before, really. I should have said in the Tracy shawl, I did one modification. You see this eyelet section? Where's the big one? That eyelet section is supposed to be striped. I decided to do this right here. I faded, just a small fade into just the Zen Yarn Garden, and then I faded out to the edge. Reason being is I loved this color. I wanted to use all of this color. This is also, I think, ooh, I showed you the wrong side. You can still see some of my ends are peeking out. Now you can really see those. See how I faded there. The Zen Yarn Garden is a little bit lighter than the Shalimar because that's a fingering versus a light fingering. Light fingering, that's what I was looking for earlier when I was trying to talk about that Martine hat, which I don't have near me down here because I didn't bring everything. Anyway, so I faded there. But my plan is to fade with these. I will be writing a pattern with this. You know, I'll be knitting it up. I will... it's a good time to talk about that. I would love test knitters for some of these patterns that I've written. I've only have one on Ravelry right now. It's called Triangle for Mom. I wrote it for Crystal so she could knit a triangle for her mother. That simple. But she's never read a pattern, has only ever knit in purl and cast on, cast off. So I explain a few things: an elastic bind off. I explain how to knit front and back. That's really it. And that's kind of the base of the pattern. It's free. It's on Ravelry. If anyone wants to test knit it, let me know how it goes. If anyone ever wants to test knit any of my stuff, please contact me. I could really use the help there because right now I'm test knitting everything myself. And as you can see, sometimes it succeeds, sometimes it's not, and it's just me. Like, I want to hear back from you guys in general, in life. You want to message me? You want to write me on the YouTubes or the Instagrams? Feel free. Cracking myself up in this podcast. I'm gonna go into this. Nitty City. This bag is beautiful. This isn't a project bag per se, but I don't have any project bags. I've never had a project bag yet. I want some, but you know, I'm an actor and a singer. Budget's tight. When I went to Nitty City for the first time, they gave me this, which was so sweet of them. I can't thank them enough. Since going back, I've already said I've been back twice because I love that place. When I was there, I went with my my roommate Lily. I don't want to go into too much detail about her life, but she is recently transgender, so she's just started going through she just started transitioning maybe 5-6 months ago, you know, on hormones. So there's, you know, she's going through a lot of changes. And I told her I've already knit her a hat before when she was, you know, before transitioning. And I told her I want to knit her a shawl. Just I don't have the money to buy the stuff. If you want to buy the stuff, I will do it. She went with me to the yarn store. She picked up this. I mean, do you see these? Oh God, what is this sticker? Yarn everywhere. These two, both Madeline Tosh. They're singles. Tosh Merino Light, 420 yards, fingering. I think this is Sugar Ceremony? I don't know what the other way that one is. This one I absolutely love. Do you see those, like the variegation? Is that the right word for this? Probably. Ooh, what's coming on here? Girl, it's all coming out of the middle. I'm gonna have to work on that. This is what? Alizarin. Yeah, alizarin. Anyway, these are beautiful. I can't wait to do these. I was thinking about doing Electrium by Lisa Much, because I got that pattern for free. Thanks, Lisa Much, on the Ravelries. But I don't know. I haven't decided really. I might use that as an inspiration and kind of go my own route, which is what I tend to do anyway, even if I tried to stick to a pattern. So when I was at the Knot House, I did buy one yarn. I told myself I wouldn't, and it is just so stunning. I could not not. This is it caked up. I don't know how well this reads right now. I'm just gonna cover my face. My face is a ball of yarn. It's just strikingly black. It's got a nice pop of blue and pop of lavender, and they're not like a soft blue or lavender. They are hard. If blue and lavender could be hard. I am knitting. It's only the brim so far because I kind of put it on hold for Christmas projects. This will be a slouchy sock head hat. I've never knit one, but I mean, everyone talks about it. I think everyone has one who's a knitter at this point. So I need one, and I'm hoping to get this done for Vogue Knitting Live, which I will be going to. I've never gone to a knitting event ever. I can't wait. So this is where it's at. I'm obsessed with this yarn. I love it. It's Olan. Olan? Where is it? Where's this tag? Oh my god, where's the tag? Might get some crinkling. It's not in there. Is it in here? Olan! I mean, look at this tag. Just the tag alone. Get out of the shadow. I don't know where the shadow's coming from. Olan. It's just, you know, it's, here we are. It's their sock light. 425 meters, 100 grams, 80/20 superwash merino nylon in the moonlit colorway, which is definitely one of the most popular once I went on Ravelry and looked at it, but I love it. It smells so good. I'm definitely a yarn sniffer as well, like y'all should be. Smells like a sheep. Speaking of smelling like a sheep, I have one more thing here, and then I can just like wrap it all up, which, this is probably gonna be a long episode, isn't it? Who knew that I could talk this long for this fast for this while? Anyway, when I was back for Thanksgiving, I was with my mom and Sherry, who I've already talked about a little bit, and Sherry had spoken to me, you know, the day before that we went there, but she was talking, she's like, oh, I recently went with, you know, her boyfriend to go buy a sheep for his yard from this farm, and they, you know, they do wool, and it's really great, and, you know, I'd love for you to see it. The next day, it turns out they were having an event, and she, you know, called us up, and we made it work. It was actually the day we went to Webb's, so it's like I had this huge yarn adventure on Thanksgiving. Anyway, my nose is still rotting. So we went to Sankow's Beaverbrook Farm in Lyme, Connecticut. I'm going to show you if this, there, see? Ooh, look at that shadow. I'm just going to cover it all in shadow. Anyway, and I picked up this kit for the Beaverbrook hiking socks. I've never bought a kit before in my life. Look at those. I think it's their own pattern, you know. Really wasn't expensive. I had an incredible time. They had great food, they had music, they were selling their items. They had a sock machine that they make their socks with, and they felt things. They felt like vests and ponchos, and really incredible. But this is the yarn I got to make socks out of. I have attempted one sock before. I attempted it on sock yarn that I bought at like Joann's. It's the super fine, like knit on a 2, probably go even finer. And I had never done magic loop before at the time, so it was a mess. I basically started my gusset about 1.5 inches in. Is it still a gusset in there? My heel flap. My heel flap.
My heel flap.
My heel flap. Anyway, this is super crunchy. I mean, you know, it's washed for sure, but it's just amazing. I know someone who has a pair of socks made out of this already, and they said it's the warmest socks they've had. They could wear them every day of their life and go out, and they're really incredible. I can't wait for these specifically for working on set. Because I don't know if you've ever done any background work, especially in Christmas, in New York City, or like Christmas, winter. Not all of winter is Christmas. Winter in New York City, it is very cold to be standing outside for 8-10 hours a day. Not really doing much, maybe walking by a camera. So I'm gonna wear these on set as much as humanly possible once they're complete, and I plan on casting these on within the few days after Christmas, because for Christmas I'm getting a set of Haya Hayas. I have one interchangeable set. You know, I used it for this. It's just a Knit Picks. It's just an acrylic. I think it's Knit Picks. I got it on sale at a Hobby Lobby. It was like $15 for a needle set, and I was like, yes, I need one. So I bought it. And they work pretty well. You know, occasionally the sixes specifically, which I use a lot, tend to just like unwind itself, so I have to wind it back in. And I'm like, why am I building my yarn? And I make it work. And as you may have seen, I also knit a lot in these clovers still because I don't have other needles. And that soon is changing because I ordered them for myself with my dad's credit card on Amazon Prime. And I know they have them, so I know they're here and they're in this house somewhere, and I'm going to get them. Anyway, I really wanted to start this podcast just because I'm really new to knitting. I want to learn as much as I possibly can about it. I've worked as an actor and a singer for about 6 years now, and it's been really wonderful. I've traveled a lot with it. I've met some amazing people. I've done some amazing work, which I'm sure, we'll talk about here some more. But I wanted to kind of, join the community. I just started going to Nitty City a bit, and I met Christy Glass the other day. I died on the inside. She didn't know, because I'm good at that, because I deal with celebrities a lot. But to me, she's like a big celebrity. And that's actually how I ended up buying this stuff for my mitts. I went there. It was the most serendipitous day of my life. I was supposed to temp at this job at 1. I left my house way too early, not even thinking. And I showed up at like 11 something, to the job. And I was like, wait, I have all this time right by Nitty City. I'll just go and I'll just peruse. I go, I see Christy Glass. I almost hit her with my big bag. And I was just like, excuse me, like squeezed by. And then eventually she saw me, like, I pulled out this to be like, oh, I really want to make those mitts. And I started looking at this. The second I pulled this one up is when Christy Glass approached me. He was like, what are you making? And I was like, mitts. And she talked for a while, and I hope to see her soon, talk to her soon. That'd be really cool. Sweater. I'm going to knit this. I need it. Never knit a sweater, but this one seems, I've read through the pattern a couple times. Seems pretty straightforward. I mean, probably more straightforward than my mitts, so maybe not, but I don't know. I just know for me, I go in, I tackle a project, I get it done. Sometimes there's a hole, sometimes there's a drop stitch. I've figured out how to fix that by myself. And I love that there are places that you can go and learn and someone can help you with that. I think that's really good, and I think I'm going to start doing that definitely more often now. But up until this point, having the freedom of not knowing what's right or wrong has really let me express kind of where specifically my designing vision is. Like, I plan on writing a lot of patterns, and I plan on having a good Ravelry store of patterns that people can buy. I don't want to charge a lot. It's, for me, it would just be a little, side job of sorts, alongside with my real career, which is performing for you all. Who knows who's seen me on stage at this point? I've been in front of thousands of people. I mean, just this past tour alone, we did 70 shows, and some of those houses were 2,000 people, and it was just me. I mean, the musical, I'll just talk about it, is Junie B. Jones, the musical. I just finished up, and I was the school teacher, Mr. Scary. I was Gladys B. Gutzman, the lunch lady. Yeah. The father and the bus driver. And we went all around the country with that, and it was an incredible experience. I got my union card. If you don't know anything about a union card, that's totally fine and understandable, but it's a big thing in my business, and maybe I'll talk about it again some other time. It seems like I can turn this camera on and just talk and talk, and I don't know how to wrap this all up because I want to just keep talking to you already. But we'll try and wrap it up. Again, I have a lot of projects upcoming. I'm going to be knitting like crazy for the next 2 months specifically. Specifically right before Vogue Knitting Live, which is like in 2-3 weeks. I got to get some more stuff done. My God. And then right after that, I'm going to really focus on another project that I don't have the yarn for yet, but I will be getting and I will share with you. And I really look forward to hearing what you think. leave any comments below. Hit the like button if you liked this for sure. And if you want me to do more, I'm definitely there. I'm down. I'm game. We're doing it. Okay. Signing off from the Corrado Lark podcast, Knitcast, YouTube channel extravaganza. What am I, RuPaul? Anyway, bye.